So, I'm back with another video, and if you already clicked on it, then you already know what this is. I know I keep saying it, but we are doing the top 4 leagues predictions, and with Serie A just around the corner. They haven't started quite yet. The La Liga and the Premier League have already started. Bundesliga is just around the corner. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check out my Bundesliga predictions. It just came out this Monday. But here are my 2025-26 Serie A predictions. So let's get straight into it. There's 20 teams to go through. Let's go ahead and start at the very bottom, 20th. At the very bottom, we have a newly promoted side. They didn't do so well. I think they came up through the promotion playoffs. I could be wrong in saying that. And overall, I don't see them having enough quality. I don't know exactly what they did in the transfer window. I don't fully know what they can do in the Serie A. I don't think they're good enough. I don't think they're Serie A quality. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I just don't think they're the highest quality for the first division in the Italian league, so that's what I'm going to be going for. Pisa. P-I-S-A. Pisa, or Pisa, I hope I'm saying that, or Pizza. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but either way, I'm keeping them in 20th. I don't know. I'm not too sure on how they can do. I don't see them doing that well. In 19th place, I have another newly promoted side. Of course, that's between two of them, but I am going to go for a side that was in the Serie A. Again, that can still stay between the two, but I'm going to go for one that they, again, don't think they have enough quality. It's Cremonese. Cremonese also did a better job, at least I think they did in Serie B, but still, they've been in the Serie A before, but they went straight down, if I'm not mistaken, just a few seasons ago, and now that they're back up here, I don't see them doing that well again, so I see them going straight back down into the Serie B. Unfortunate, but I mean, there's a pretty wide gap between the first and second division in the Italian football. And yeah, sorry, what I say. But the last relegation spot, this may be a bit of a surprise, but I do have a team that narrowly missed out in 17th from last season, and if you don't already know who it was Lecce. It is not the newly promoted side Sassuolo, it is actually Lecce, who I'm putting in 18th place, getting relegated. They got promoted just a few seasons ago as well, and I think they have a loanee from AC Milan in Camarda, if I'm not mistaken, and I think he'll do well. Unfortunately, not well enough to keep Lecce within the first division, so I'm going to say Lecce goes down to the second division in Serie B, which is kind of their level, at least in my personal opinion. In 17th, just narrowly escaping relegation. I think these next few spots may be battling relegation and could be in a tough battle for it. A very tough fight. I have Cagliari. Cagliari are a solid team who have demonstrated in the past that they can put up a pretty decent fight in the Serie A. And they will, and they'll stay up for so long as I can see in this season, but it's going to be very tough for them. They finished in 15th last season, a few steps down, and I'll think they'll follow in 17th. I know that means there's still a few sides that you may predict that are coming up soon, but we'll see. Because in 16th, I have Hellas Verona, who finished in 14th last season. So yes, I'm doing the whole placing them one above one another, just like how they actually finished last season. But Hellas Verona are a very solid team, again, who have also been in the Serie A for many seasons, and I can easily see them going down. I've even predicted them going down several seasons prior. Maybe not an official video, but in my own predictions that I make with some friends or by myself. But Hellas Verona, just, again, I think they lack the quality necessary. I mean, 17th or 16th isn't terrible for them. It's only a 2-position drop, but still finishing below a newly promoted side and possibly being in a relegation fight, which I think they will be. But I think they'll be one of the few that like get up quite comfortably and be safe, but then drop a few points towards the end. I think Hellas Verona will finish in 16th ultimately. And in 15th, I have the last newly promoted side in Sassuolo. They finished, I believe, in first place in the Serie B, and they did overall really well. They've been in the Serie A previously with amazing players that just demonstrate an ooze class. And I mean, the green and black, I love their kits, but I think they'll be the final team within this battle of relegation here. I think 15th all the way maybe to 18th or maybe even 19th will struggle, will be fighting to stay in the Serie A, and I think ultimately the three that I just mentioned will stay in the Serie A for next season, in the 26-27 season, but they will be battling it out as hard as they can. I think Sassuolo are the best of the newly promoted sides, hence why I'm keeping them in the Serie A, and I would love for them to stay for many seasons as they have been in the past. And they are definitely a team that I kind of root for from time to time. Again, kind of a connection because of FIFA, and overall some of the players that are pretty good, like their striker, their right winger, and overall just really good players. But anyways, moving on to the next position. I think we're going back to back with the shocks, as we have a pretty shocking place here in 14th. I have Bologna. Bologna, they had a fantastic season. 2 seasons prior, they even got into the Champions League, where they got knocked out pretty early. I think they didn't even make it past the group stage, or at least the league phase. And they did crash out quite early. But with that being said, they still finished in 9th, which is pretty respectable. But not only that, they also won the Coppa Italia last season, which means that they're going to be in European competition again. We'll be in the Europa League, which we saw how detrimental it was to their season. Now imagine them going a bit further. And of course, they don't have their old manager that got them up into 4th. They don't have Diogo Mota. They don't have Calafiori. They don't have a lot of players that propelled them as high as they did. And so dropping them as low as 14th may not seem the smartest idea, but I don't see them doing that well. I think they are a solid mid-table team, but mid-table still may be a little bit too high for them, hence why I dropped them a few more places. 9th place from last season, they just won the Coppa Italia. I think they'll focus a little bit more on that one again, and I think they might struggle, and they could go further in Europa League, which means that they'll have less time or less focus on the Serie A, which will make them draw and lose a few more points than they should. Moving up into 13th, we do have another slightly big gap, at least in my personal opinion. We have Parma making it up into 13th. They finished in 16th last season, did struggle quite a bit. I mean, this is a team that had the likes of Buffon, not particularly last season, but, have had previous good players like Dejan Kulusevski amongst the ranks. But still, Parma are a very solid team that have been in Serie B, have been in Serie A, going back and forth. But I feel like now that they've established themselves more as a Serie A team, stayed in and amongst it, and I think they'll continue to do so and just progress until ultimately they're a little bit better and will be a solid mid-table Serie A team, possibly contending for European football in a few years to come. But for now, keeping them in 13th seems like a solid spot for me, solid spot for Parma, and I think everybody will be happy with that, at least in my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but who knows. In 12th, I have Genoa. Genoa are, like I said, a pretty solid team, mid-table team, often finishes amongst that, like 8th to 12th or 13th. I believe they even finished 13th last season, so I'm just putting them a little bit higher. I'm putting them in 12th, just one place higher. I think that's kind of their level. I mean, they can be a slip up for some of the bigger teams like an Inter Milan, like Juventus, or maybe even AC Milan, even though AC Milan did not have a great season. They finished in 8th last season, but Genoa are still can be a bogey team and can very much surprise everybody. But will they? Not in my personal opinion, at least. I think they will finish a solid 12th place and pretty much be happy with that. The one growth, I would take that as a Genoa fan. One up in the league table and in the league position in 11th. They actually finished above Genoa, one league position above them last season, and I'm talking about Udinese. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but again, it's basically the same thing as Genoa. They are a solid mid-table team, 10th, 11th, that range of mid-table teams is kind of their level, and it's hard for them to go above it, but also very hard for them to go below it. I would say they're a stronger side. They have been in the past, and they can be up for European contention. You never know. They could be one of those underdogs that no one expects, and they could push forward as high as maybe even 6th, someone might say. But I don't see it. At least, I don't know. It's tough. I can, convince myself. I can talk my way through saying Udinese is good enough to reach the top 6. But then I think about the other big teams, and it's just, no, it's difficult. There's a lot of good teams in the Serie A. And wait until you see the top 6, and then you'll kind of understand why I put them so low. It's difficult to put them here, but 11th place is a pretty solid spot for them. Plus, it's one position higher than last season, so I think they'd take it. One of my boldest predictions here in 10th place. It's not a Milan, surprisingly, despite the fact that they finished in 8th. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, so I'm going to keep them a little bit higher. It's not Juventus, who have a little bit of a struggling season and a struggling squad. It's not Inter Milan, who have also been on a downward trajectory after, being on for a treble and then losing all three of the competitions. No, I'm actually talking about the team that finished in third place last season, Atalanta. Atalanta are a very solid team who have had amazing players, but they did just lose their starting striker or one of their best players, Enrategui, to the Saudi Pro League. If I'm not mistaken, he joined Al Nassr. I don't know what is up with players like going to the Saudi Pro League. I get it, money, but really, I want to see them strive, and I want them to like thrive for bigger things, but not the Saudi Pro League. And I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it a big team, or big league, but it's just not what I want to see as a fan of football, honestly. Not because I don't like the Saudi Pro League. It's more just like I don't have access to seeing it, and it's like a lot of older players and then just players that are about to hit their prime or can be entering their best years, and it's just no. They decide to go show it off in the Saudi Pro League instead of showing it off in the Champions League, winning those World Cups and whatever. But anyways, Atalanta, I think they're going to struggle. They're going to be in the Champions League next season and honestly get rinsed. I think they might even lose Ademola Lookman. I don't know if there's still rumors around him leaving. I'm not sure what their manager is looking like either. But overall, I just predict a little bit of a down season for Atalanta. I think they'll struggle overall in the league season, and that's why I'm dropping them as low as 10th. May be crazy for me to say, but it may not even be my craziest take in this entire prediction, so just stay tuned. In 9th, I have Torino. That's Juventus's, geographic rival. They both play in Turin. And Torino, again, very similar thing to Genoa and to Udinese. Very solid, strong Serie A team who have been here for many seasons. Mid-table, but can also push up a little bit, hence why I have them as high as 9th. They could make a little bit of a European push to be amongst that conversation, but I don't think so. And they'll just ultimately fall a little bit short and fall into 9th. They finished 11th last season, so I think a 9th finish, again, moving up 2 places, very solid. That could propel them a little bit higher. They've had great players, including great strikers in the past. Could definitely see them doing something a little bit different. Maybe one of their star players could show up for Torino and shock the world and be like, oh, look, let's look at Torino for a little bit because this player's there. I don't know. That could happen. But overall, I think 9th is a solid finish. But in 8th place, now this is more of an interesting take. I'm going to go with Como, and I think that's kind of low for them. I wanted to put them a little bit higher, but just because of the seasons that these other teams have had, I couldn't put them any higher. But 8th is a very solid finish. They finished in 10th, just one above Torino, just like how I'm doing it this season. They finished in 10th, 2 positions higher. Not bad, but Cesc Fabregas, I think, will have a little bit of an exciting year for this one. And I think if he stays there, I think the potential next season, they could do pretty dangerous things and even contend for the top 4 spot. Or if not, at the very least, top 6 spot. I think they'll push for it this season. Ultimately fall short just because there might be a few injuries or some other things that may distract them and could ultimately get low. But they might have a pretty strong cup push. So keep an eye out for that one. I think Como are a promising team. And overall, could become one of those top contending teams or those underdog teams with a solid manager who used to play for amazing teams like Chelsea, Barcelona, and Arsenal. But regardless, Como 8th place. In the final place, just before the European competitions, if I'm not mistaken, it is 7th place. 7th, I don't think it's Conference League. I could be wrong in saying that, but I think they don't. And even if they do, oh well. But I will say in 7th, I am putting the purple squad, Fiorentina. They finished in 6th place last season, which did get them a European competition. If I'm not mistaken, it's Conference League. And they did pretty well last season. I think they got as far as quarter, if not semifinals, which is very solid for an Italian team like them. And I think they will push on and do pretty decently in this season. But unfortunately just fall short. Like I said, with a lot of these teams, European competitions could distract them a little bit and could take them away from getting all the points that they can in the Serie A, in this league. So keep an eye out for Fiorentina. They could be a little bit of a shocker, but could also drop down 1 position from last season. I don't know. In 6th place, a team that finished in 7th place last season, it is Lazio. I think they can finally get back to where they should be, which is a European spots fighting for the top four. I think they will fight for the top four. Maybe not as strong as seasons prior or how they used to be. I mean, they've made Champions League before, especially with the likes of Ciro Immobile back in the day. But now it's a little bit more difficult, and I think they could struggle toward maybe the middle. I think they'll start pretty strongly, end pretty strongly, but I think towards the middle they'll have a pretty big spell where they don't win many games and just overall lose games that they shouldn't and drop as low as sixth. That's just a mini prediction, or like just more specific prediction for this team. Could be wrong, I could be right, but we will see at the end of the season, that's for sure. But sixth place, or European Conference League qualification, if I'm not mistaken. It's not bad. So, yay. Europa League place, which is fifth now. It is a team that can be pushing for top four, should be pushing for top four, and I think they will push for top four in this season. But again, we'll fall just below that. And we're cracking into the Europa League now, which is fifth place. And I think I'm going to say Rome. They finished in fifth place last season. And have they improved upon their squad? Yes, no. It's a tough one to say, to be honest. I like the signing of Evan Ferguson. I think he'll do pretty well. He struggled for form last season, or even playing time last season at Brighton. But I think a new change of pace in the Serie A will do wonders for him, wonders for Roma, and they could put in a late title charge, or an early title charge, but then fall off behind the rest of the pack a little bit later. And yeah, ultimately I'll say Roma will finish in fifth place. It's a little bit of a difficult call, but I will say Roma will fall off and finish in fifth. I say fall off, they finished in fifth last season, so they'll stay plateau, but could get a little bit higher if some of the other big teams fall off this season, which very much could happen. Breaking into the top four now, and honestly, this was really tough. I shook it up like 5 different times. I had it set a few days ago, and then I thought about it a little bit more, and I've seen a few of the preseason games. I saw the Coppa Italia games, or at least the highlights of some of them, and I'm still confused. I still don't know exactly where to put who where. But okay, so the obvious teams that we have, 3 of them are on display right here. We have Milan, Inter Milan, and Juventus. But then, of course, there's Napoli, who won the Scudetto last season. Do I think they'll go back to back? No, I'm actually putting them in 4th place, funnily enough. Yes, I know they added players like Lorenzo Luca, who is a pretty solid striker. He's pretty tall, and with a solid midfield of Scott McTominay, partnered up with Kevin De Bruyne, which I think I might get a Napoli jersey with De Bruyne on the back. I'd love to have a De Bruyne jersey. I think that's awesome. I think Kevin De Bruyne will back up Lorenzo Luca and provide him a lot of great assists. I think they're going to fall off a little bit. I trust Antonio Conte. I think he's a fantastic manager. But I don't see the rest of this squad being up to it. I mean, when I really think about it, they have a decent squad who overperformed last season. I'll be honest. I think of their squad, and I think their best player is just Kevin De Bruyne. And then they have Noah Lang, who could be decent, but who knows? I think Antonio Conte and Kevin De Bruyne are the best people for Napoli. And as great as they are, I don't see them doing too well. And yes, I'm putting Napoli below AC Milan, who I've mentioned before, but they finished in 8th last season, so it's a little bit disappointing. But yeah, I'm going to say 4th. I am not confident in that pick whatsoever. I had them originally 2nd place, but I've dropped them to 4th place. Now I'm left with these 3 jerseys that I have right here. We have Inter Milan's away kit, Juventus' home kit from a few seasons ago, and AC Milan's home kit from last season. And who am I going to put in 3rd? I think the obvious answer would be AC Milan. That's why I am going with Juventus. If you've been watching my predictions, you will know that I'm not going with any of the obvious answers. I'm going bold predictions, and I think some of my boldest ones are the fact that the top 4 and the bottom are the bottom teams, and the top 4 teams that I choose in all of these predictions are often a little bit sketchy, maybe not the most confident picks from me, but I'm doing it with as much confidence as I can. because if I'm right, wow, I look like a genius. I look like the oracle. But if I'm wrong, it doesn't really matter because I went pretty bold. So I'll take it. I'd rather be bold and stand out than going with some pretty basic picks. I'm not trying to be the best like predictor. I'm just trying to be bold and bring some more right or like happiness into football by shaking things up, because in the Serie A, honestly, you never know who's going to win it. I think it's a very tough league. So many teams step up. I mean, Napoli won it last season when everybody thought Inter Milan was going to win it. And then a few seasons ago, you saw AC Milan win it with a pretty subpar team that included the likes of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but also just the rest of the team wasn't fully spectacular, for being honest. Juventus went on a streak of winning it, but then they've fallen off since then. And honestly, I can see all four of these teams winning it, including Napoli. I know I just mentioned them, but Juventus in third place can definitely also win it. But I feel like they have a new manager, Igor Tudor, and their signings haven't fully convinced me, but they do have Jonathan David, who I think will tear it up in a Juventus kit. And I think overall they will be a very solid team. I mean, Kevin Turam will be a very solid. Bremer, if they keep him, will be very solid. I think Di Gregorio is a fantastic goalkeeper. But overall, can Juventus step it up? I think they can. I think they'll be in a title charge. I think all four of these teams will be fighting for the league title. And I think Roma will be in and amongst it as well. Roma will drop off first. Napoli will still be there towards the end of the season, but again, be maybe 2 or 3 points off of it towards like the last 3 games. Juventus will still be in and amongst it on the final 2 or last game. And I think these final 2, the Milan derby, will be fighting it out on the last day of the season, in my personal opinion. But Juventus, third place, solid finish, 1 step above what they did last season. And they have the Champions League, which can distract them a little bit. The final 2 teams that are left are obviously the ones that I have kept here. It's AC Milan, of course. I'm repping AC Milan. I'm rooting for them. I hope they win the Scudetto, but I will be going with Inter Milan in second place. Yes, I'm going with second place for Inter Milan, and let's actually talk about Inter Milan in second place. Obviously, you know that I have AC Milan finishing first, but we will talk about that in just a second. Inter Milan finishing in second place. It's a little bit of a shock. They finished in second place last season. A lot of people may say that they can finish in second place, or they will finish in second place behind Napoli again. I think Napoli are a very solid team that can push for it, like I've been saying. But I think it'll go down all the way to the wire between these 2 teams. Inter Milan are a fantastic side. Lautaro Martinez, Marcus Thuram, Alessandro Bastoni, so many great players. But I think Jan Sommer is getting a little bit older. It's a little bit difficult for him. I think Acerbi won't be as strong as he was last season. And everybody knows how much Francesco Acerbi has fought through diversity, fought through a lot of great things. And it's fantastic for him. Still angry about the goal that he scored against Barcelona. Maybe that's a little bit of bias towards me. On me, also because I'm repping AC Milan, but still, I think Inter Milan are fantastic, and I can easily see them winning the Scudetto. But I think they'll be focused a little bit more on the Champions League and possibly the Cup, which will take them away from the Scudetto title and have them drop points that they really shouldn't, and they just keep slipping. Poor Jersey, it's okay. But still, Nicolo Varela, sorry, I forgot to mention him. He's also a fantastic team player. It keeps falling. If it falls down, it falls down. But Inter Milan, very solid team. And I don't think second place is that bad. It's not the greatest of positions, of course. I think they'll be very angry, especially if AC Milan win it over them. But I think that's what's going to happen. It's unfortunate, but I kind of see it happening, and I would love for it to happen. So on to AC Milan now. Of course, the team that I've been repping, the team that I've been wearing this entire video, and who I said is my favorite team in Serie A, and the team that I will be supporting, not only because of all the players that they have now, but also their previous players, their history, like Paolo Maldini and so many other great players. I mean, right now they have a Mexican, they have Santi Jimenez, and he could arguably be their starting striker. I think that's awesome. He just got an assist in their Coppa Italia matchup against Bari with the American, which is, of course, Christian Pulisic, who has been tearing it up ever since joining AC Milan. So fantastic on that. Plus, they have Rafael Leao and so many other amazing players, plus an amazing goalkeeper, Mike Mainan. Then I think that's awesome. They just bolstered their midfield with the likes of Samuele Ricci, which is an Italian player playing phenomenally in the Serie A. So that's awesome. Already bringing in Serie A talent and experience. Then you have Luka Modric, who may be on the older side, but brings a lot of experience and technique. I mean, he did like a little touch in that game against Bari, and honestly, I was in love. I was like, wow, he got shot off. Unfortunately, didn't go in. But overall, he shows his class in that game. And then you have the likes of Ardon Joshari. And I've talked about him before. But I think that bolstering of midfield with those players will be absolutely fantastic. fantastic. I know I'm a little bit biased because we've had Jashadi for Galatasaray rebuild, but I'm excited. I gotta say I'm excited. I wanted to be bold with these predictions, hence why I'm going for a team that finished in 8th place last season to win the league title. They finished in 8th, made it all the way to the Coppa Italia final, ultimately lost 1-0 to Bologna, and they won't have any Champions League, they won't have any Europa League, so I think they'll be able to focus on the Serie A as much as they can for the first half of the season, and then focus on the Coppa Italia, and then just overall try their best to win the Scudetto. I think they will win it. Am I 100% confident on it? No! Do I think there's a strong chance that they barely crack top 4? Yes, I originally had them in 4th place. But I pushed them up mostly because of that midfield mashup that they have now. And of course, I'm biased towards them. And I want Santi Jimenez to win a Scudetto. That's just the truth. I want him to win silverware. And maybe stay one more season even after that. So he can make another big move. And hopefully maybe to like a Barcelona. Maybe another team. But anyways, those were my Serie A predictions. I know some of them were kind of bold, especially towards the end there. And like I said, I did change up this whole Serie A table a little bit, especially the top 4. I can see all 4 of them challenging for the league title. Even a few others can also hop in that race. But ultimately, I think it will be a 4-horse race. I think it'll be very tough. I think this might be the most exciting league to watch out of the top 5, including the Liga 1. I know I didn't do any predictions for them, but we got to keep an eye on them. I think this Serie A has always been one of the closest title races we had it last season with Inter Milan versus Napoli. Now we might have it between all 4 of them. Juventus, Inter Milan, AC Milan, of course Napoli themselves. Plus, let's throw in Roma in there as well. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I didn't bash on your team too much. And even if I did, I'm sorry. I still respect the team. I just think my team will do a little bit better and will surprise everybody. But also, imagine Luka Modric winning a Scudetto title in his first season. I'm just saying. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave your Serie A predictions down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Lates.